I've actually never spoken about my thoughts on AI for content publicly in one shot ever. So my first golden rule for everyone here is media does not make money. Here's my point. If you're a bad writer, your value is $20 a month. All the media you consume at some point is going to be synthetic, completely synthetic. Alright, so what? I've productized myself. Now I can produce 100 videos a month, 1,000 videos a month, 1,000,000 videos a month about every bloody topic. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Thank you for, firstly, Masters Union for having me here. I've actually never done this slide deck. I've actually never spoken about my thoughts on AI for content publicly in one shot ever. Right? This is probably the first time I'm doing it. And I think I spoke to the audience before we started rolling the cameras, and the average age is about 18 to 21, 22, so I have to keep this simpler. The deck might be slightly more complicated. I'm going to try and pull it down. For those in the audience that are listening, this is going to be a laymanized version of, my journey with AI and content. Hopefully it's useful. Hopefully you take something away from it. I want everybody to understand one thing, right? For me, AI is only as useful as the outputs, right? As what I can use it for. Well, I don't actually care about which tool I'm using as long as the task is done. Can we all agree on that? Yes. Right? Actually, this audience here, this specific audience, you don't care कि यार ये model है या वो model है. You're like, this tool can do this, right? Fair? You want to use it for a task. You want to use it for the end goal of whatever your dream is, right? Either to make content or to make a video or maybe you want to write an email, right? You're just like, I want the best tool for this job, and I wanted to just understand, whatever I'm telling it to understand. So I want to tell you my learnings around AI for content, because we use a lot of that. I'll also tell you what I'm building. I have a very, very firm thought around, a few things in my life. One of them is the only way you can truly learn something is by doing it. So over the last 1 year, we have created so much content around AI tools, all the latest tools. And me and Tanmay, when we started doing this, we had one rule, which is, yaar, ye gyani wala podcast nahi banayenge. We will play with every tool. If it's a tool, we'll use it. If it's an open source repository, we'll use it. If we can make our own version of something, we can fine tune it to build something that is useful for us, that we can display live, that people will enjoy, we will do it. If we need to clone Shah Rukh Khan's audio to prove a point, we'll do it, right? So when you start with that thesis, ki I will try everything, however hard it is to try it at that point of time, you learn a lot. And you also learn about opportunities that other people can't really see. And we have used some of those opportunities, right? And we have seen that some of those opportunities are far larger than people think they are. So hopefully you get to learn something from this. So this is my thoughts on AI for content. First, about me, okay? I studied computer science. I studied in Manipal Institute of Technology. I studied computer science when I was 18 or 19 years old. I studied for 4 years. So I'm an engineer. I raised venture capital very early. In the second year of college, I decided to start a t-shirt company. So I was at your dropshipping challenge yesterday, and some of the people there were selling t-shirts, and for me it's like nostalgia because so many years ago, 13 years ago, I was selling t-shirts because I was like, try karenge, what's there to lose? I was an engineer, and at that time, the cool thing for engineers to do was to sell t-shirts. I don't know if you guys know this. I said, let me try. So, but that's not what I raised capital for. I raised capital for a recruitment startup called JobsPire because, when you're studying engineering and when you really are passionate about building things, especially when you're passionate about writing code, you build software. And we saw Zomato and we said we should build something like that for recruitment. So we built a company called JobsPire. That's why I know so much about the recruitment market, right? A lot of people are like, what do you know about job market? It's like, I spent a few years building a business there. So I have some insights. Specifically, we worked around fresher hiring. So I have a lot of insights around fresher hiring. Then over the last, 10 years beyond that story, I've built and sold multiple technology businesses. My most recent one was Scenes. We sold that to Unacademy's Graphy. I've been an entrepreneur for all my life. I started actually with game design. There was a very, very old game engine called Mugen. You probably wouldn't have heard of it. I had a computer when I was early. I loved playing games. I said, I want to make games. I started, experimenting with 3D. So I've been a nerd, frankly. But over the last 10 years, I've learned how to be a nerd, but also make it simple enough for the average person, the average 18 to 20-year-olds who are not nerds to understand, to use many of the things that I love using. But today we run a AI services company. It's called EOS Labs, actually. And EOS is my parent company, and EOS Labs is one of those companies that sort of, we have clients like Amazon Prime Video, Dainik Bhaskar, Times of India, Sportskeeda, and more. We also built lots of AI tools. We built God-in-a-Box, Alpha CTR, AutoCode Pro. We have more than 1 million users on our AI tools. We are profitable. And we've learned a lot building those. I have some insights about that as well. Hopefully, I get to share some of it today. And what most of you know me for is I create lots and lots and lots of AI content. Right? We try to be the most legit, authentic source for AI content, but we try to do it in a way that is simple enough to understand. So we have to dumb some things down, but it's our job, and we try our best to do it, even though some of it is a little bit complex. But this is about what I've done. So that is why I do it. The main reason I do it is because I think that we are going to enter, it might be a pipe dream, but I think we're going to enter an era called a post-artificial general intelligence era, where AI does a lot of what we call economically viable work, but we will still be very valuable, okay? And I will come to why we will be valuable over the next few slides. I want to document every moment of it, right? For me, it's like the world is changing into something very different, right? Have you all seen the videos about Vision Pro? A lot of people wearing the Vision Pro, running around, walking around. It's strange, right? Like today, we walk around with a phone and it's just considered normal. Everyone's like, it's considered normal. But there was a time where it wasn't. It was rare to see somebody with a phone, especially when I was young. And today it's just become normalized. I guarantee you, things like the Vision Pro, it's going to become normalized. And you forget, ki kya hua? How did we go from pre-phone era to phone era? It's almost like none of you remember a world without Instagram and Snapchat. But I do. And I feel like it's important to document the world we're in right now, because 10 years later, you'll forget this world. So I want to document all of it coming, and I want to build lots of entertainment, games, toys, and I want to build and sell really cool stuff, right? That's my philosophy. I want to build and sell really cool stuff. And I don't want to raise money again, because I think I'm far too experimental for it. And I think the world is changing so fast. You might do something today, and a year later, it might be worthless. So we are starting to enter a very risky world. And one of my friends, Akshay BD, who runs Super Team in India, he's like, apps are like content, right? You'll be popular for a few years and then you die, especially in consumer, which I really enjoy. So I've learned that. I don't want to raise money again. I want to do everything I do bootstrapped. Awesome. So I want to tell you why content. Our first learning was this wave of generative AI really disrupts content. Does anyone agree with me here? Okay, give me an example.
Yeah. So if we can see lots of videos, like especially satire videos about Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and like Barack Obama having conversations which are pure, the content is AI generated, like everything is AI generated.
Yeah.
And it's quite fun as well.
Yeah. I mean, when AI first came out, right, a few years ago, a lot of the people, especially nerds, right, like me, on Reddit, said, okay, this is going to disrupt recommendation engines. This is going to disrupt, what products are shown to you. And sure, it did. But all that happened behind the scenes, hidden. What really disrupted was, you're right, Modi singing some song, and people cloning people's voices and faces and all that chaos, right? So we learned that AI really disrupts content. And there's probably the potential to build a Marvel-like movie in India today with just an iPhone or a regular phone. So I want to document how you can actually do that over this video, over this presentation. It's a content creator's dream. You enjoy creating stuff, but it's really expensive to create a movie. Right? It's very, very expensive. Ask the people who made Adipurush. So it's a dream that we have the ability to do it as common citizens, as common individuals, without having all those resources. And most businesses today come to us, even when they come to us for AI needs, right? Like I told you, we run an AI services agency. They still come to us for content needs. It's like, AI ke saath ye campaign karwaega? Can you guys do this campaign with AI? So that's the kind of thought process that people come to us with. So we really truly understand that the need, the use case for businesses, even though we can solve finance use cases and chat with PDF use cases, we feel like this is our forte and this is something that we are good at. We recognize that content brings us leads and users. I keep seeing this comment sometimes on my YouTube, right? Why are you doing content if you're running a business? Anyone has a good thesis as to why you should do content if you're running a business?
Distribution.
Okay, what does distribution mean? Okay?
When you have a set of users, like for example, like users who already believe in you by seeing your content, if they might become your first customers. Like I have a newsletter, they believe, like my subscribers believe in me. One day if I launch a Notion template, they will be my first users and pay me $10. I will be having like $100 in just a go.
Sure. I think people pay money where they trust people. If you trust somebody, you pay money, right? And I think content really allows you to build that channel of trust because you're sort of talking to them hundreds of times without expectation. And then at some point, they're like, I want to do something with this person, right? And for me, it's kind of been the same, right? Everyone that I watched on YouTube that I really loved, I now have the opportunity to work with some of them. So I understand what it's like. So it brings us leads, it brings us users. It's really the power law for us. We start creating content in-house. We start for fun, by the way. We said time pass. It's almost like people start a rock band when they're bored. Like I've seen some 30, 35-year-olds, they have a midlife crisis and they decide, I'm going to start a band with my boys. We sort of started YouTube the same way. We didn't really think it's useful or anything, right? A little bit of personal branding, fine, I get it, but we didn't really think it would be valuable. Now we do 100 million views a month across channels and platforms. We have 7 different channels run by 7 different teams. So we crossed 100 million views, which is phenomenal considering they're all English views. We don't do any Hindi or regional content yet. We will not do Hindi or regional content right now because we feel like in a year or two, YouTube will have automatic translation. It will separate all the tracks, the backgrounds, music, the foreground, etc. And then it will automatically translate that into whatever language of choice. So all the creators today who complain saying, "Yaar, I'm only getting 20,000 views because I'm creating English content," that's going to change because somebody who speaks Kannada is going to use YouTube primarily in Kannada, is now going to see all your content in Kannada. YouTube gets to expand inventory like this, right? So we do 100 million views a month on English content, which I think is pretty cool. And we have just, at least for our own content, there's a ridiculous amount of cost and efficiency savings with AI. But I do want to tell you that content does not make that much money. YouTube pays really poorly. It pays you peanuts. So you have to build businesses on top. So we see everything we do on the content side as distribution, and that's very valuable. But then you still have to build businesses. And those are almost like 2 separate silos, 2 separate businesses, for at least the way we see it. Because it's like the minute you start doing business inside your YouTube thing, the YouTube thing gets disrupted. People start focusing more on the business side, less on the YouTube side, it dies. So we said, it's got to be separate things. That's your traffic source. You have a business. I'm going to put in some golden rules throughout this. So my first golden rule for everyone here is media does not make money. Okay, every good founder knows this. So the good founders don't do media. They say, "Yaar, why should I do YouTube? It's not going to make money. It's going to lose money. I want to spend whatever, X lakhs a month and then get no ROI back." But it's one of those things, right? It's like brushing your teeth. If you brush your teeth today, you are going to get nothing from it. Your teeth are slightly cleaner today. You look slightly cooler today. But you get nothing from it in the short term. But if you do it over 10 years, or it's like going to the gym, right? Like you go to the gym today, nothing happens. You're like, this is a waste of time. I wasted 1 hour of my time. I felt a little bit good, but I wasted 1 hour of my time. But then a decade later, you're ripped. And being ripped gives you a lot of secondary benefits, right? Which I'm sure some of you who are well-built or go to the gym understand these secondary benefits that I'm talking about, right? So when people ask me what I do, and it's always very interesting when people ask me what I do, right? I've been an entrepreneur for 12 years. I've built businesses for 12 years. I only created content as a hobby for like maybe 6 or 7 years, right? I was a creator part-time. But today I'm a content creator. Like of all the things I do, the thing that I really point at, I'm like, this is the power law. You guys know what a power law is? You know what the power law is? A power law is the 80-20 rule, right? You know the 80-20 rule?
Yeah, 20%.
Okay, can someone tell me the 80-20 rule?
So we focus on the 20% important part of the portion, and out of the 80% we can.
Yeah, I think on YouTube or content, it's even more skewed. It's like one of your videos will do so much for you that you're just like, wow. That's why I said media doesn't make money. But I think, at least in business, a lot of business is luck. That's my personal belief. It's luck. Like you don't know which company is going to reach out to you and say, can you do this for us? It's pure luck. And anyone saying I can predict how much deal flow I'll get next quarter, unless you're like massive scale and you're a consumer business, I think they're lying. It's a lot of luck, but distribution increases your surface area of luck. Today, I wake up and I have no idea who's going to text me on WhatsApp. I don't know how they get my number, but some of the smartest and coolest people who I'm like, 5 years ago, I was like, wow, it would be amazing to talk to these people. They text me. So I think it increases your surface area of luck, and you can increase your surface area of luck to the extent where every day somebody's checking in and wants to do something with you. And we are seeing that compounding play out in real time, right? So that's why I'm a content creator, because distribution is the power law. Content is the path to distribution. You have to create content to get distribution in the first place. AI makes content production significantly cheaper. Have you seen a shot of me that's completely automated? Yes. Some of you have seen it, completely automated. You know, the view count doesn't differ so much. And we'll talk about that in this after a bit, right? The view count doesn't differ so much, but for me, it is an ability to scale myself. Sometimes if I make an audio mistake, great, AI will solve it. So if I was to spend, and I don't spend too much time doing content, I probably spend like 3-4 hours a week shooting. The rest of the week is just me reading and thinking and like, you know, talking to people and getting insights, right? Because at the end of the day, when you watch content, you want my insights, you want my ideas and thoughts, and you don't want to be bullshit ideas and thoughts. You want me to have put in the work, talking to the people, learning enough about the world so that I'm able to distill it for you, right? You want me to play with all the AI tools, and you want me to try 50 different things and find out 49 cases where it doesn't work. And you want me then to distill those thoughts and insights for you. So I spend the rest of my week screwing around so that 4 hours that I put shooting content is very valuable for you, right? So AI makes content production significantly cheaper. It allows me to scale myself in a way. And what I've also learned, and the reason I'm a content creator, is you can partner with amazing teammates, right? Which distribution will bring you, because the minute I put up a story, you get really smart people applying. You get users, which distribution brings you, and you gain trust, which distribution again brings you. So we have some really smart engineers, for example, who work with us. Why do they work with us when they can work at any other company? Because they're like, I know if I work here, 500,000 users will use what I build. 1 million users will use what I build. It may fail. It may not work. The product, at the end of the day, the business might go bust. But they're like, I know if I build this thing, and all smart engineers have realized this, right? You build something, nobody comes if you don't have distribution. But you partner with somebody like us, you know it's going to get some number of views. And from there, it's PMF, right? Either the product works and the market really wants this thing, and therefore you're making money, or it doesn't work and it dies. But at least you got a shot of day. Because there's a graveyard of products built by people, nobody cares about them. And after many years, smart people have realized, shit, the main thing is the thing I build, I want people to at least see it and use it, right? So for us, content is the power law. That's why of all the things I can be, the most important thing for me to be, at least for the next couple of years, is a content creator. That doesn't mean I don't know how to run a business. We've been doing it for 12 years. We're a fairly large team now. But this is where most of my focus and attention is now starting to shift. Very different from 6 months ago where I was completely focused on the business. So that's golden rule number 2, right? And the reason we spend so much time talking about content and creating content. The average 18-year-old in the United States today will spend 93% of the remaining time of their life, free time, outside of school, in their life scrolling. You're going to spend 93, the average Indian spends like 4 hours a day on video. TikTok, long form. So why in India isn't there a video-focused company yet? I mean, everyone who's doing it is doing like an agency model. They're like, हम बनाएंगे video दूसरों के लिए. right? So we think there are more than enough people who are spending time on their phones. Look at your own behavior. The most time, and please, anyone who's not doing this, you can put your hand up and say, Varun, you're talking nonsense. You're spending the most amount of time per day on your bloody phone. And you're watching video, you're not reading text. It's boring to read text, it's cognitive effort, but a video is fun. Somebody else has put in the creativity, somebody else put in the time, either on Netflix or YouTube or whatever. So the amount of time people are spending on video is staggering, and they're bored. They're spoiled for choice. There's enough and more content you can watch. You are bored, you are spoiled for choice. So we have to differentiate. We have to do something better. And there's a nice Sam Altman article. I just copy-pasted a screenshot of the entire thing. It's very important, especially when you're doing something that looks like a joke in the beginning, right? Like content creation at least 3-4 years ago looked like a joke, by the way. Most content creators who are creating content, people are like, hey, YouTube kar raha hai. But I want to read this out for you. I'm just going to read it verbatim. A founder recently asked me how to stop caring what other people think. I didn't have an answer, and after reflecting on it more, I think it's the wrong question. Almost everyone cares what someone thinks. Though caring what everyone thinks is definitely a mistake. And it's probably important. Caring too much makes you a sheep. But you need to be at least a little in tune with others to do something useful for them. It seems like there are 2 degrees of freedom. You can choose the people whose opinions you care about and on what subjects, and you can choose the time scale you care about them on. Most people figure out the former, but the latter doesn't seem to get much attention. The most impressive people I know care a lot about what people think, even people whose opinions they really shouldn't value. A surprising number of them do something like keeping a folder of screenshots of tweets from haters. By the way, I do something similar. Like I have a track of generally of all my haters. Now maybe not so much, but it's like what makes them unusual, these people, is that they care about other people's opinions not today, but on a long-term horizon. In my head, I'm like, we'll see in 5 years, we'll see in 10 years, because I've been around for 12, right? And I've seen the world evolve, and I've been right about a lot of things. I've also been wrong about a lot of things. So that feedback loop, I've been through one feedback loop, and I know all the things. Mobile phones look like toys in India. I know how parents treated mobile phones. I know how schools treated mobile phones, right? I remember. And now suddenly it's the most valuable thing you can do. You do 90% of your work on it. Wow. Right? So as long as the history books get it right, they take some pride in letting the newspapers and other people get it wrong. So you should trade being short-term low status for being long-term high status, which most people seem unwilling to do. A common way this happens is by eventually being right about an important but deeply non-consensus bet, which is you're contrarian about something. You believe in something that other people don't. And you're right about it 10 years later. That's the only way to do well, right? So for me, content is this, right? Where even now, a lot of people think it's not as valuable. Building the business is more valuable. I disagree with them. And it's like 6 months ago, I would have disagreed with me today. So we are learning a lot about this, right? Now, I want to get into AI. Okay, what we're here for. I've told you why I'm doing it, and I've told you where we use AI primarily. It's about content. And not only do we create content about AI, we also use AI to create content. It's like a two-way street. I just want to talk a little bit about neural networks, right? The inspiration for neural networks actually came from the biological neuron. But actually, that's not what ended up happening, right? Like, I don't think today's neural networks really mimic biological neurons to the extent that people originally thought it would. A couple of early successes in neural networks exaggerated the potential of neural networks. A lot of people thought this was going to be really crazy in the 60s and 70s, but it turned out it took a lot longer. And I'm going to keep it simple for you. I'm going to show you a quick neural network. So as you can see, that's the input. And I don't think you've ever seen this. I don't think you ever know what's happening inside the black box. And I think we're getting more and more complex neural networks as time goes on. But I want to show you an image neural network because I actually spend most of my time with diffusion models rather than LLMs. So we really focused on images and video. So as you can see, at the initial parts of the neural network, it's learning small things like diagonal lines, contrast. As we get to the inner layers, it's learning more intermediate parts. What's an eyeball? What's a nose? What's a eyebrow? Right? And then as you get to the outer layers, it's learning full faces. This is very important to understand, right? Because we actually have very low control of what it's learning at each stage. We only know how to add more layers, right? but we have very low control of what it learns at each stage. Here's another example, right? So as you can see, learning facial features, that's the data set. From the input layer to the hidden layers to the output layer, you can see that it learns by learning primitives, and then over time, it's learning more complex objects, right? This is a younger audience, so I want to keep it simple. Just remember that the thing is learning, it's learning parts of the data set. We have little control over exactly how and why and where it's learning and what it's learning, but we do know for this audience, there is something going on in that black box where it is able to understand. It is not just a bunch of rules. It's not just A plus B equal to C, right? Where it's transmuting your internal data it's transmuting your prompt in some way that is magical. There is learning going on inside, right? So I want to stop here, and there's an interesting question that Jan LeCun, who's the chief AI scientist at Meta, had put out once on Twitter, and I want to ask you a question. Is a cat smarter than a dog?
Yes.
How many people think cats are smarter? Hands up. Okay. How many people think dogs are smarter? Some of you have no response. Cats and dogs, two of the most popular pets worldwide, have significant differences in their brain structures. Cats have 250 million cortical neurons. Dogs have 530 million cortical neurons. So dogs have roughly the 2x the number of neurons as cats. Okay? So dogs have the capability for more complex mental processing compared to cats. Right? A bigger neural network, a bigger set of neurons, has more processing capability than a smaller set of neurons. Great. I can get behind that. But all of us are smart enough to know that there are certain things that cats do better than dogs, and there are certain things that dogs do better than cats. The point I'm trying to make is that cats can probably hunt much better than dogs, right? Because with a few neurons, which are more tailored towards that specific activity, they are able to do that, hunting piece much better than dogs, right? Now, there's some other dogs that can probably hunt better than cats, right? Specific types of cats. So can we agree that what the neurons are doing is more important than the number of neurons? True. But there is one very specific thing that dogs can do better than cats, right? And you will see this again and again and again, which is the concept of theory of mind. It's the ability to attribute mental states, beliefs, intents, desires, emotions, knowledge to oneself and others, and to understand that others have beliefs, desires, and intentions. I'll give you an example. This is a shake, right? Let's say I'm sitting here and I keep the shake and I go outside and I come back an hour later and the shake is gone. How am I going to feel? Huh? Bad? Okay. What am I going to think? Someone took it? Okay. Any other thoughts? Who drank it? Maybe I lost it. Maybe I kept it somewhere else. What are you all doing? You're all stepping into my shoes at this point, right? You're thinking like me. And theory of mind, in a way, is the ability to think about other people's thoughts, desires, and beliefs. And actually, dogs have displayed a much higher ability to have theory of mind than cats, right? So one of the cool things for us for a very long time, and one of the things that really blew me away with ChatGPT, right? Or GPT-3, the first GPT that I sort of started commercially talking about, on YouTube and all that, is that it shows some theory of mind. ChatGPT can actually be like, okay, if you left your protein shake there and you went out and came back, here's how you'd feel. You'd feel anger and frustration and all those things, right? So it was able to step into the shoes of how I think, and it was able to extrapolate this from just training data of just text. So that's very exciting for me. But the point I want to make here is, all neural networks are geared towards different tasks. So the first misconception that most lay people have is that, and I saw this at some point, right? ChatGPT is the one responsible for neural networks. Somebody said, ChatGPT is the one responsible for deepfakes. Somebody said this on the internet. I think, the government said this, right? That we'll talk to ChatGPT and we'll tell them don't do deepfakes. So I want to make it first and foremost very clear that different neural networks are geared for different tasks. The hope is that one day we have a neural network that does everything. But right now we're not there. And it's almost like you have to choose the tool for the job. All right? And it's so weird because you can edit a video, you can paste a video, you can cut a video into multiple parts and ask ChatGPT, how should I paste the video? And it'll actually do a good job. So it's helping you in video editing, but not in the way that you want. So you need to know not only the tool for the task, the neural network you need to use, the model you need to use for the task, but you also need to know how am I looking at the task, right? Do I want the full video edited? That's a different thing. Do I want just the pacing of the video? Somebody will give me the pacing of the video. That's a different task, right? So you need to know the tasks. And I want to quickly run through some math, right, to tell you about one very important rule here. There are 200 million ChatGPT users. ChatGPT is a neural network for, or a set of models for text. Let's say text generation, roughly. Have you guys heard of Midjourney?
Yeah.
What does Midjourney do? Images? 20 million Midjourney users. What's the world population? 8 billion. Number of mobile phone users? What's the gap? I just want to, make this very, very clear, okay? There are 8 billion people in the world. 7 billion people have mobile phones. So the penetration of mobile phones is pretty high. Can we agree on this?
Yeah.
It's pretty high. What the hell is the penetration of ChatGPT?
Nothing.
Very low. What is the penetration of Midjourney? It's like, it's negligible. So when people ask me why I create content and sometimes create simple content, right, and dump things down, I'm like, bro, first let's get to 7 billion users. Right? Let's get here. Let's improve the penetration, because we talk about a lot more than ChatGPT. I'm like, imagine Midjourney and ChatGPT are two of the most popular. When we talk about more niche AI tools, smaller ones, I'm like, do you know how few people have seen this? How few people know about this? So we want to increase understanding, awareness, and penetration of this stuff, because we need to get to mobile phones really quick, because when this comes, and it's already coming, the way it will change the world, like the way mobile phones have changed the world, is going to be rapid. And you want to be on the side that adopted mobile phones first, when everybody told you, क्यों scroll कर रहा है mobile phone पे? क्यों use कर रहा है mobile phone पे? Any of your parents said that? You're not sleeping well, it's because of the mobile phone. Neighbor's cat died, it's because of mobile phone. Stomachache, mobile phone. Headache, mobile phone. Right? We demonized mobile phones for so long. I remember, I know this, right? When I was sitting for board exams, I didn't have I had a computer. And my parents would shout at me for using the computer. I'm like, I'm just using a computer, I'm reading stuff, I'm learning stuff. They're like, no, study, books. So we keep demonizing technology, and even now schools are like not allowing you to use ChatGPT, and I've seen a lot of this nonsense happen. I'm like, you're doing the same thing again. You did this with computers, then you did this with mobile phones, then eventually you allow it, no? Today, you are allowed to carry your phones here, right? Yes. You're allowed to carry your phones in most colleges these days. Because people are like, oh, it's safety and security and whatnot, right? But the point is, you'll demonize it for 10 years, you'll say it's a bad thing, and then you'll realize, shit, that's where most of the money is going to be made. So this time, I'm here to tell you, looking at the last 12 years, don't make the same mistake. My goal is to increase so much penetration of AI awareness in India that people don't make the same mistake they made 12 years ago with mobile phones. That's why I get angry when schools and colleges say, don't use ChatGPT. I get that you first have to understand the subject matter and then also use ChatGPT. I get that. I understand the nuance. But please don't say no, none of this, ever. You can say this first, then this, but never say none of this. That's my job. And not just ChatGPT, right? There's so many other tools outside of Midjourney that nobody's heard of. So, the golden rule here is, we are early. You are so early if you use ChatGPT. You're so early if you use Bard. You're extremely early if you use Midjourney. Dude, yesterday I came to your dropshipping challenge, right? All of you had made covers and packaging. Some of you had made posters. And I asked everyone, why does this poster look like this when it could be made with Midjourney? You don't have to, steal somebody's art technically, right? Like you don't have to copy paste somebody's art. If you're anywhere doing that, use Midjourney. Right? Why? What held you back from using, forget about Midjourney. There's so many image generators that are free. What prevented most of you making posters from using one of those tools? Yeah?
Doesn't give the type of output that we have.
Doesn't give the type of output that we want.
But maybe that's because of not putting the right prompts for it.
Yeah, I don't even think it's about prompts, right? I think it's more about, it's like
efficiency part is the mark.
Yeah.
efficiency in the sense?
Like most of the time, if you put out the prompt correctly, all the spellings are correct. But with the time of outcome, the spellings aren't correct, the logo isn't correct.
Correct. So you're trying to make Midjourney do text, right?
Or
Or
about Midjourney, I was talking about DALL-E and
you're trying to make it use text. So that's the thing, right? And that's what we went back to. Different neural networks do different things. And your job is kind of now synthesis, putting all this together. Because when you take somebody else's design and just put it there, that's an easier way to get a lawsuit, right? With Midjourney, we're still unclear. But the point is, it's like everyone knows these things exist, but you're not using it on a daily basis. Whereas I know people, we are using it on a daily basis. And it's helping us so much. And sometimes it's confusing. I'm like, do you not see this? The point is, if people are using AI on a daily basis and it's actually valuable to us and our clients, why are you not using it? You're the young kids. You're supposed to know this stuff better than most 40, 50-year-olds. And 40, 50-year-olds come to us and say, can you help this department use this? So it's like staggering to me, right? So I want to go one by one and hopefully give you a refresher on what you can use today that is useful in your workflow. We'll go from simple to advanced. Let's start with writing. Okay? For every business, writing is important. For all content, writing is important. Do you agree? Do you not agree? Yes. We think writing is the power law of content. Content is the power law of businesses these days. But writing is the power law of content. If you can write well, you do an excellent job. Your content will work. But writing is more about subject matter expertise than the act of writing itself. Do you understand what I mean? Can someone explain?
Like how knowledgeable you are about the topic.
Correct. So if I make you write about PUBG, have you played PUBG? Okay, if I make you write about PUBG, you'll always write a surface level article. If you make me write about carpentry, which I have no idea about, I'll always write a surface level article. Like I won't understand the depth or the nuance in it. Nuance, by the way, stands for more than meets the eye. Right? What is the specific details of this that is not usually spoken about? So when it comes to writing, we think that subject matter expertise is very, very important. So your ability to do research, then add your own insights, okay? Which is your thoughts that is not, maybe people don't agree with you, but those are your insights. You want to write in your style? Because all of you have a unique style of writing, can we agree? Yes. ChatGPT writes like a BPO employee. It's like a US polite BPO employee. So while AI can help you write some stuff, it is a rising tide. I will explain what I mean. Okay? Today, if you are how many of you think you're bad writers? What does that mean? Okay, what do you mean by you're a bad writer?
I have to use AI to structure a lot of my content. I just write it. So I just write all of my content, basically whatever ideas in my head, but I don't think the framing is proper and the words that are being used, maybe this professional, the words are professional, so I just use ChatGPT to structure it for me properly.
Got it. Got it. Here's my point. If you're a bad writer, your value is $20 a month. ChatGPT is $20 a month. If you're a bad writer, ChatGPT is better than you. So what has happened is ChatGPT has gotten good enough to write as good as like the bottom tier of writers. Okay? And over time, it's getting better. Maybe not in a while, but over time, it'll get better. But there is a ceiling to writing, and the topmost ceiling to writing is like some, founder writing a report back to his investors, or some business analyst doing a deep dive into a company, where it's filled with insights, and sorry, but ChatGPT can't do that. What I'm trying to make is, ChatGPT is getting better over time, but the ceiling to writing, like somebody like a Paul Graham, the stuff he writes, I'm going to read it. It's valuable to me. It's got his life experiences and insights. I know it's not generic stuff that ChatGPT has created. So the point I'm saying is the skill ceiling for writing is so high, you need to be above a certain barrier for your content to do well. Right? And it's about mining insights from everything that you've read, learning, adding your own life experiences, showing an example from your own life, and then getting to that ceiling. Okay? So what we do is we hire great subject matter experts, people who understand the space very well, And we say, for 5 days a week, you just screw around. You learn stuff about that. Whatever topic you're writing about. You deep dive. You go talk to the subject matter experts in this if you're not a subject matter expert. Right? But make sure that whatever you're writing is your unique insights and your unique thoughts at the end of the day. And sure, you can use ChatGPT to structure. You can use ChatGPT to cut it down into pieces. You can use ChatGPT to pose questions that you want answers to. And you can use ChatGPT to, maybe you've done an audio with somebody, you've done a call with somebody, to summarize. So we use ChatGPT like a tool at the highest level. At the lowest level, when we do shorts, sorry, but it's very easy to use ChatGPT to just write your short. And we use it all the time, especially when you do business or news or something like that, and it's like a 30-second reel where like, just ChatGPT this shit. So that's what I mean by rising tide. Simpler, easy content where you don't need to put in too much work, it's just regurgitating facts. There, ChatGPT has gotten really good. But the minute you want to get to the advanced level, you need real human writers. What we use for research is a tool called Perplexity AI. How many of you have heard of Perplexity AI? Okay, how did you hear of it?
So like, I basically follow the founder on Twitter. So like, that's where I heard about Perplexity.
Got it, so the founder has distribution.
Yeah.
That's why you're a user. Got it. Most people use AI to create the end script. We use it very differently. We use it as a first draft. For us, Perplexity is like a tree, right? Where like, go find out everything you can about this, and then we'll do the legitimacy test later. So Perplexity cannot currently add its own insights. You need a subject matter expert to give their opinions on something, right? You need somebody who does the thing on a daily basis to give their opinion on something. Fine-tune models, right? And we're going to see more and more models which allow you to fine-tune based on your writing style, and it's going to be one click online. It's useful to copy writing styles. And we have one of this that writes like me internally, but we rewrite anyway. One thing we've learned is, and we don't use it as much in production, is because after we write it, we rewrite the script anyway. Because we're like, can we compress this down even more? Is there an India-specific insight we can add? So we really think through the scripts a lot. Per video, we save maybe 20 to 50% of our time. Especially shorts, it's like 70% of our time is really saved. Next, audio. Background audio is important. Can we all agree? One of the notorious things that on YouTube is, one thing that YouTube is notorious for, is copy strikes. Use somebody else's audio, gone. That video is gone. So 25% of our videos need a re-voiceover. Maybe the audio is bad, or we need to change some fact, or we learned something 2 days after the video was shot, where we're like, okay, this needs to be changed now. So we do a lot of re-voiceovers, or some brand will be like, do it again. We do this all through AI. Background music licensing is a pain. And some of our videos, like especially what my wife runs, AV, they do songs. So we use tools like Suno.ai to make songs. Have you heard of Suno?
Yes.
Yeah, so we use it to make songs. Right? So we use Epidemic Sound plus Suno plus RVC plus our stack plus 11 Labs. So we've got our own stack, right? For some internal audio stuff. We save about 10% of our time per video. And we don't have to reshoot stuff for short audio changes. And we will never reshoot a short. We have never reshot a short video because we just like AI the entire thing. The cost of making a catchy song today, at least for a point where the audience is happy with it, is zero. And we can truly clone anybody's voice. You want to hear it? Okay. How many of you are fans of Shah Rukh? Okay.
I have a crazy data set of Shah Rukh Khan. If you send me a voice note on WhatsApp, you can actually put that as an input.
Hey, señorita, डॉन पकड़ना बहुत easy है actually. मुझे बस मन्नत ताजा हो और आपको डॉन मिल जाएगा. Hey,
So lame. Let's see if it works.
hey, señorita, डॉन को पकड़ना बहुत easy है actually. मुझे बस मन्नत ताजा हो और आपको डॉन मिल जाएगा. Hey,
That is so on point.
good.
Agree?
But also, we have a crazy data set of Shah
Does that sound like Shah Rukh? Huh? It sounds like Shah Rukh? Most people can't tell. The average person in India can't tell.
Made a song of Tanmay Bhatt who lost his comedy, but
मुंबई की गलियों में एक हास्य कलाकार, नाम उसका तन्मय, सबका था प्यारा यार। सबके दिलों की आवाज, अचानक वो खो बैठा अपनी हंसी का राज। तन्मय का हास्य कहा, लोग पूछते रह गए, उसकी हंसी की गूंज अब कहीं खो गई। तन्मय, how do you feel?
What do you guys think? One sec. Let me just zoom this in. The point is, you want to make a full song today? Sure, it will not be the level of, I don't know, Anirudh or something, right? But it's decent. You guys enjoyed it. You felt something. Great. We are happy. And you know how much it cost us? How much time we spent on it? Nothing. Nothing. Right? So we are... The cost savings, especially if you want to do music, and we do music on some videos because it just creates a more entertaining package, right? There's a reason we love Bollywood. It's pretty low. Next. And like I said, your job is synthesis, to put things together, which is, avatars are nearly solved, okay? Especially for shorts. Stock footage for really short scenes is easy to generate, like we just spoke about. Animations for logo transitions are solved. If you're doing an animation for a logo or transition, there's a tool called Animate Diff that is excellent. Deepfakes are not so useful for us. We have not, I mean, we do it as gimmicks sometimes, but I don't know what you'd use deepfakes for on a daily basis. Because there was a point where we thought, okay, we'll get another actor and we'll put my face on him, and that's how I scale myself. But avatars are just easier and better. Here's an example. Okay? It's a completely automated avatar. Using HeyGen.
Disney just unveiled this robot that's got an actual personality. Unlike what Boston Dynamics or Tesla produces, this one seems like people are more likely to interact with it. Sort of like WALL-E, but in real life. And the wild part is, it was the Disney animators who played a big role in making these robots, not the usual engineers. Now, to make it work, they used a few very interesting techniques, like RLHF for the basic stuff. They used something called adversarial mode.
So I have a question. Have the views been impacted? It's a completely automated video. Anyone who doesn't believe it's a completely automated video? Okay, it's completely automated, sorry. It's not impacting the views. Right, so what? I've productized myself. Now I can produce 100 videos a month, 1,000 videos a month, 1,000,000 videos a month about every topic. Why should I be limited to AI? I can make a news channel with my face on it. I'm asking you serious questions. I feel like people are not serious about this enough, right? They look at it and they're like, it's a toy. It's not a toy, it works, it pulls views. This is one of the most shocking things for me. This is completely automated. It's not dipping my views. So why isn't everybody bloody using this? Someone answer me. Yeah.
So I have a question. So how much time did it take you when you made this? Then
It takes time, no? You'll have to do research, you'll have to put it together, you'll have to shoot.
so there's a recent part of the video from then, but I think currently
3 minutes, 4 minutes to make it?
to make the AI version.
No, to make the non-AI version.
Yeah, so non-AI version I can make it in 5 minutes.
Correct.
Two thing is the technicality that there as you were showing computer because I already worked.
No, this is not comfy.
So let's say you have a workflow. Currently I think it just takes a lot longer and it's a little more complex to playing around with all that stuff locally.
But the value is that,
I don't think value is everything.
no, I'll tell you, the value is I can be in Dubai and a shot can still go out.
Yeah.
I can be in Antarctica and I can be on break forever. Second is, I can do all sorts of channels. I can be the Johnny Sins of content. I'm just saying, right? Like, it's like I expand inventory to whatever number I want. And theoretically, I'm not saying I'm going to do this, right? But theoretically, if you trust me and if I build trust with you over a very long-term horizon, then you would trust all the content I put out. Because right now we do some of it manually. We have a business channel called Breakdown. We have case studies and geopolitics and stuff in AV. We've got engineering in 100x. Some of these are investments, some of these, we run. But the point is, why can't I be on all of them? People anyway consume us in multiple forms. Some people know me for OPout, some people know me for breakdown ka, we did a video on national logistics policy, for example. They know me for that. Okay, so the point is, this is going to change things, and I'm really surprised that companies are not using it. But it's not just that. It's when you're a video editor, you can do a lot more than just create avatars. I can take any footage and now I can erase the background. So I no longer need green screen. So I can be here right now, right this video, and you can clip me out of the entire background. So I can be traveling anywhere, I can be doing anything, I can actually be doing business and doing some sales or whatever, and then just be like, okay, I'll quickly shoot something and get out. I don't need to carry a green screen, I don't need to set it up and pull it up, which by the way, a lot of creators do. So now I can be a creator. You see, right? It's expanding my ability to be everywhere and do anything. And we use a lot of green screen, right? We need the background to be green screen. But we don't need a real green screen anymore. Because it's getting really good. It's getting really good. And if you're not a fan of paying money to Runway ML, there are tools like, there's one called SAM, Segment Anything Video, where you can run it on your computer and it will remove the background for you. Great. So it's very useful for 3D as well, right? We're one of the first few companies, EOS, which is my parent company, it's one of the first few companies in India at least, to do an anime with AI. In the US, there was a company called Corridor Crew, and they made a nice AI, animated video. We made an animated video too. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'll show you some snapshots of it.
So please play it from the starting.
No, I'll just, it will take too long. It's a pretty, this thing. So I'll just show you some interesting shots of this. It's lagging here, but others are pretty.
Focus.
So the question I really have is, an animated video, to make a real anime, costs you 100K an episode.
Yes.
Now you're able to do a fraction of the cost. We shot this with an iPhone. It's shot with an iPhone, and it's got 3D movement because the iPhone has an app called CamTrack, where you can it uses LiDAR to kind of figure out what the 3D space is like. So as I move the camera in 3D space, I can make a 3D world that moves along with you. This still requires a lot of manual work, by the way. It is not automated by any means. The AI part is like, at the end, it's like, fine, it takes the person and it's able to make that person AI-ish. But the backgrounds were still generated, right? In the sense, still created in 3D. And then you run them through, your AI workflow. This is all IP. There are at least 2-3 companies we're talking to right now who want us to do an animated video for them. It's all new revenue that suddenly opened up, and it looks like toys, but people are like, wait, a regular anime costs 100K an episode and you're pricing it at $10,000 and you're doing the entire shoot, etc., etc. Wow, that's a steal. So, disruption, like I said, 2024 will be the year of 3D and AI. Everything from 3D avatars, models, environments is getting good. And there's going to be a lot of hidden AI, which has been there for a while in tools like Blender. For example, tracking. Do you know how tracking works? Do you know what tracking is? 3D tracking? Yeah. Okay? There's a technique in 3D called match move. And you've seen it probably in every Marvel video. Okay? I'll tell you how match move works. I'm standing like this. I'm going to walk from here to there. Okay? I'm going to walk. But the camera is not static. It is moving with me. So now if I move myself into 3D, whatever 3D background I have, it needs to move in the same way, along with the camera, accounting for focal length and all the camera settings, technically. So match moving is a very, very important skill, okay? And today with the iPhone, match moving is very easy. There's an app called CamTrack, it's free, and you can have a match moved character because you basically get the camera movement in 3D. The same camera movement that you did in real life, you get in 3D. That allows you to put you in any environment. So now you don't even need to do that. In Blender, you can just choose 3-4 points that don't move or that have moved but are not the subject, and it'll automatically tell you how the camera moved. It will guess how the camera moved every frame. It will, for example, take this point, right? Let's say this point, some point with high contrast, and it'll be like, did the point go in or out? Right? Did the point become larger? Then, well, the camera is zooming in. The point becomes smaller, then the camera is zooming out. The point, gets skewed to the left, and the camera is turning to the left. Stuff like that. So there's a lot of hidden AI there, where it's AI, but you don't know what's going on. And we're actually working on a nice little CGI film right now, small one. Hopefully you get to see it soon. We're doing it for an intro where we have a nice little bot. And by the way, these bots nowadays with Sketchfab and tools like that, they're available. You don't even need to create the 3D model in the first place. We put Thanos in a video. This was not match moved. This is just a static shot. This was, when you'll see the final video, the camera is moving. So it's a nice little robot. We have a nostalgic series of videos where there's a robot and we're just chilling together, eating food in a South Indian restaurant, cycling. Think about it, right? Like there was a time where I really wanted to do this, but I didn't have the money or the tools. And it was hard. 7-8 years ago. Do you know how exciting it is that everyone here can now create a Marvel film if you really had just the courage and the time and the ability? So for me, this is very exciting. And that's us picking up trackers in 3D to match move this thing, and we'll put a robot there. And the last thing, actually not the last thing, but one of the most important things which we haven't spoken about yet is images with AI. I consider images solved for our use cases. For static images in videos, to thumbnails, banners, profile pictures, image AI is ready. And text in images is the only thing lagging behind, as we spoke about, but that's not far away. It is going to be solved. And in fact, the way to use it right now is first to generate background images, and then to generate the text separately. And this, you put in text and it will generate an AI version of the text is solved, right? There's something called depth mapping that works. There's something called ControlNet depth mapping that works really well, especially if we want to create 3D text, right? So we have experimented with some of this and it's pretty good. Here's me as different thumbnails. As you can see, it can modify my body type. It can make me look like Superman if it wants to. It can also make me look like, I don't know who that person is. Bappi Lahiri. Alright, so it's like, can you imagine AI is here? I mean, that looks like a real photo, honestly. It looks like something from the bloody movie. So it's like, I'm very excited by where it is right now. And I'm surprised and worried that not enough people are as excited as me. All the media you consume at some point is going to be synthetic, completely synthetic, in a year or two, or at least 90% synthetic. Do we not see it? Right? And of course, 2024 will also see AI in things. You're going to start putting AI in things, in objects. We want to focus on entertainment and learning. Right? We also want to put AI in physical objects, but we don't want to do it, the way some of the others are. I don't want to make like a robotic assistant that comes and serves you tea or whatever. I want to use it for entertainment. The opportunity for us, for me, selfishly, is to build the next Disney in India. And Disney does a lot of robotics and hardware, but they do it for their rides. They have Disneyland. They have an avatar. Have you seen their avatar, the moving avatar? Animatronics, it's called. It's really cool. And they have a nice little cute robot that they keep displaying again and again. And it's not just that, right? Like when we create content, for example, we have these large LED screens. We use technology in content already. And for me, that is extremely exciting. Right? So let me show you a demo of this. Actually, this is an image, but we are doing a small little painting like Harry Potter, where you have a painting and you can talk to the painting and it can talk back to you instantly. We're starting with Chanakya, because public domain and Chanakya has a lot of insights. You can have him in your house like ambient computer all the time. And you can talk to him and he can respond, and eventually he'll be smarter and smarter because people are building the models and they're getting better at it, and we are synthesizing things, right? We're putting all this together as a complete package for you and using our distribution to say, hey, this exists, buy it. So Everything. We have a face, it looks at you, there are eyeballs, it tracks, and hopefully I get to show, the next time I'm here, maybe I'll get to show some of this to you. So we really think that that is still content. It's two-way content. Everything you watch on social media is one way. This is two-way. But this is not scalable. But if you have, let's say, Varun Maya sitting in your house on your wall that you can talk to and you'll be like, Varun, what do you think of this problem? And it's trained on all the data that I've ever thought about or written. And that's why I write so much these days. I write like a madman these days. Because I'm like, that's the way for me to be immortal technically. Right? To write so that my thoughts, my deep insights are with you. And the cool thing is, I'm actually a hardware noob. I'm also learning this on the fly. Right? I'm also picking this up on the fly. Shashank from our team is actually very smart at this. And that's why I said, right, the smartest people in India are coming and working with us now. Because they realize that there's an actual real shot of whatever they build to go out to reach this audience, for example. So we want to do more and more of this. Otherwise, what's the point of doing anything if you're not taking on easy problems as well as hard problems? Right? We want to do as much as we can in the world of content. So, I want to tell you some theses I have. Okay? How the world is going to evolve, how the world is going to change. Okay? The first thing is, I think the world is moving towards outcomes. There was a time where we used to sell software. I've sold software in the past. I've run SaaS companies in the past. I've run marketplaces in the past. JobSpire recruitment was a marketplace. I've done software for business in the US. When we were first Avalon Labs, we wrote software for business in the US. So I think the world is moving away from buy software at $9. I'll tell you why. Because any space that's attractive, there are lots of players. I'm not calling these founders lazy or anything, but they're really good at writing code. And it's an introvert's thing, right? Like, a lot of people have gotten good at writing code in the last few years. So they're sitting in their house and they're like, I'll make this tool, but I'll make it cheap. One guy will charge $9, other guy will charge $8. And then some guy will be like, this is a big opportunity. I'll go raise $100 million and keep it free. So the price to play is $100 million. And I don't want to play a game where it's $100 million just to play. You don't even know, not even guaranteed to win. I don't want to play that game. And I don't want to be free for 10 years. Because like I said, like my friend Akshay says, apps are becoming content. Especially consumer apps. 1 year later, 1 year your app will run. After that, some new thing will come and people get bored. It's like a viral video. People get bored more on the next thing. Unless you have the stamina to keep building apps again and again and again, and also getting all of them to go viral again and again and again, I really don't think it's a game worth playing. Okay? But people want outcomes. The CEO cannot use AI and do everything. He still wants somebody to have context of something. So when we sell, we can sell a video anime tool. And I know other people have done it. We saw the opportunity. We said, bro, we have a comfy UI workflow that we worked hard on. It's unique to us. We can put this on a server and allow other people to use it in one click. But you know what? It is better we offer this as a service. We'll do the entire thing. We'll shoot it. We will think of the script. We'll think of the idea. We'll give you a finished product. That's a better offering than us saying, use this tool for $9 because next guy will come and charge $8 and it's already started happening. And we've learned this lesson the hard way, right? So, for example, if you're selling a video, if I'm selling video, I'll say, bro, I'll do the full service for you. Why should I do just the tool? I will use the tool behind the scenes. Instead of hiring a thumbnail person, instead of hiring 10 thumbnail persons for 10 different channels, I'll hire one and make him use the tools. I will scale the people, but I'll still offer the full service to you. Look at hair products today. I don't know if you've seen hair products evolve. Have you seen the company Traya? You know what they've started doing? They have like a counseling thing. It's like an experience. It's like a full package, right? So they're saying everything from the doctor's appointment to how it works, to counseling on top of it, to helping you through the process. Everything, but we'll charge more. Courses, for example. There's a time where everyone was like, Udemy is the best. Then they said YouTube is the best. But you know what we learned about YouTube and courses? You should look. I have a channel called Varun Maya Level 2 where I've done a series on Unreal Engine. 50 episodes. First episode has some thousands of views. Last episode has 80 views. So the hard part that we've learned about education is motivation. Right? In this audience, most of you are excited, but I can still see one person sleeping. Because life is full of distractions, right? It's very easy and a course is not like a movie. It's like even in a movie today, you can't wake up and be like, I want a refund in the middle of the movie sucks. But you're going in because you're like, I'm watching this movie, I get to switch off. I'm going and watching Animal, he's going to talk some nonsense, he's going to beat some people up, great. I'm going to switch off mentally and enjoy this. That's what most people do, by the way. But the minute you do something like a course, it's cognitive effort. Finish the assignment. Oh shit, now you have to do work. Attend the class at this time. Oh shit, now you have to attend class. So it's work. And what we have learned is that most students, and the reason many of you are here at Masters Union, is this is experiential. Am I right or wrong? You guys went and did the dropshipping challenge. Right? So people want outcomes. And what we learned is it's also about placements. Boss, if you're doing a course now and you're not doing placements, you're wasting time. Put these people in. You can't place everybody. But place a good chunk of people, because what you're in the business of is delivering outcomes. And over time, your outcomes catch up to you. Everyone in EdTech has learned this, by the way. So be outcome focused from day one. There's a placement report, right? By Masters Union. You've read the placement report. And that's the reason I'm here, by the way. So many EdTechs keep calling me. I'm like, by the way, these days when we do brand deals or work with brands, we ask for, we do proper due diligence. We're like, send all the material. I want to see a placement report. I want to see this. I want to see that. And you can ask, I think we've been a bother to you guys because show the placement report. Right? So our job as educators, right? Whoever is going to be an educator in the future, some of you will end up being in this space. It's now become about outcomes. Students don't just want content. And we know that if you just give them content, they will give up after 6-10 classes, reliably. It's about how do you continue to motivate them, how do you give them a peer group, how do you give them jobs. Right? So yes, you can sell the course for $0. YouTube is free. But putting everything else together, that's what students want and they're willing to pay for it. You'll still have to build the product though. You still, your hair product still has to work. Right? Your video thing still has to work. But you may not need to sell the product directly. Now sell the service, sell the solution around it. The last thing is we don't use any AI in sales. 0%. And I'm very strict with my team that we are not going to use any AI in sales. Can you tell me why? I think when you do sales, right, it's a lot about understanding local nuance and context. And the minute somebody talks to a bot, even they have a slight hint it's a bot, they turn off. Mentally, they turn off. They feel tricked. They feel cheated. A part of your brain is like, I got sent a fake. It's like sometimes you want to meet some government official because you want something done, and then they make their assistant meet you. You feel cheated, right? Maybe you traveled from Bangalore to Delhi to meet some founder, and his assistant met you. You feel upset, right? Especially the founder said, I will meet you. Sort of like that. They feel like that. They feel cheated. So we don't use any AI in sales. But then I have a rule these days, which is we don't have hard and fast rules about anything. We don't have hard and fast rules about anything. Because I know people who've had hard and fast... there's some companies who've gone out and said, we will never run advertising. And today they're like, oh shit, we should have not said that publicly 50 times. Right? So, smart people trap themselves by taking hard stances on everything. And we believe, Jeff Bezos keeps saying this, right? If you don't change your mind, you're an idiot. You show static minds, like a static mindset. And a lot of companies, as they get larger, do this. Companies, the way I think companies run is, it's like you have arteries. And sometimes, companies' arteries get stiff. There are blockages. Cholesterol deposits. You get, how many of you have studied understand a little bit of how this works? Okay, some of you understand, okay. Your arteries get stiff over time, right? And one thing I do, like I said, I spend most of my time creating content, but also I'm designing an organization, right? And the thing is, how do we prevent our arteries from not being stiff? We have rules, but we revisit our rules every few months. Because this stuff is changing too fast. And I'm only as good as fast as I can be. And that requires a very different kind of organization. It requires a very different type of career plan. How do I tell many of the AI people who work in my team what their career plan is? AI and content. These careers aren't even there yet. There's no name for what many of the people in my team do. There's no name, especially in the AI agency. It's like, it's weird. It's like we call it applied AI, but what is it really? So it's all new and weird. And there's no career map. Nobody knows in 10 years where you're going to be. So we are evolving over time. And that's what, before I end this, I want to say one more thing, right? I think it is wiser to look at your career now as a series of projects rather than one career. I will eat my hat if 20 years later, you're doing the exact same thing you set out to do. Especially in this world that's changing so rapidly. Like some of you want to be, maybe X or Y or Z, especially specific job roles, right? I know a person who was like, I want to be product marketing manager. I don't know what that is, by the way. Is that product? Is that marketing? I don't know what that is. I'm just being very clear. And I've been in the SaaS space for a while, right? But they're like, I see myself doing this for 20 years. I'm like, how? How do you have the foresight to see 20 years in the future? I don't know what's going to happen 20 years in the future. Right? So I think we see a year, 2 years in the future. And I think the more you see things like toys, but you see toys with like lots of usage. Like today, Apple Vision Pro and VR, a lot of people see them as toys. I think there's something really serious there. And you can start with the most basic of apps. You can start with a chess app or something very, very simple. And today you might not be successful, but 6 years down the line, 7 years down the line, when these things get mainstream, there's a small chance you can be successful. There's a nice little quote I want to end with, right? There's a guy called Devin on Twitter. He's like, society progresses because there are 100 people out of 1,000 people who try some nonsense, something new. And out of those 100 people, 99 people blow up. They fail, they lose all their money, they die, they lose their arms trying something new. But that one guy where it works, everyone copies him. And that one guy becomes really wealthy and really influential. It's a power law, right? There's power law in everything. So we feel like the world is evolving to a point where everyone needs to keep running experiments. Not all of the experiments will work, of course. But that one experiment that works, you can double click on it. And you need to lead your life in a series of projects, sometimes serial, sometimes parallel, to actually find out what works. And the entire idea of a career, I wrote a book called Pajama Profit, by the way.
Yeah.
It was about freelance careers. Sorry, we didn't have ChatGPT back then. And we were right about almost everything. All those careers became really popular and successful. The book was 2018. We're in 2024 now. 6 years it's been. Go read the book. Everything is gold. Everything is still valuable even today. But the era of skills, we're unsure of what happens to skills in the future. And we understand that the world is shifting. And there are a lot of people who are static, whose arteries are stiff. And they fight. They're like, Varun, you're wrong. I'm like, actually, I don't mind being wrong. But this is what I see. And I have to be honest about what I see and what I think. And you're free to listen to other people. You're free to call me an idiot and say, this guy doesn't know anything. But at the same time, we're working at the edge. Other people are giving gyan. At the end of the day, everyone's giving gyan. But we're working on the edge and giving gyan. Right? So that might be useful to you. And I think what you should take away is, what are the things you can learn that will work in any career? And all the old things that have lasted 200,000 years are still true today. You know what they are? Ability to sell, ability to build relationships, ability to think about what's going to be popular a year from now, ability to invest in smart people and smart things that will work a few years from now, ability to make decisions, being kind, being nice to other people, not screwing other people because 10 years later they can become really successful and then they attack you back. Stuff like that. It's all the same old rules. Nothing changed. Technology didn't change anything. It just made us who we are. Awesome. That's it for me. Thanks for listening to me. And I always put in a disclaimer. Always chart your own path. Don't listen to other people. Questions? Yeah. Shoot.
Hey, Varun, I'm young.
I'm what?
Jan, you said the word quite many times. My name is Jan. You said that word quite many times. Well,
How do you spell it?
Gyen.
Okay.
Give it double agent. So in the year 2020, 2021, it's like the blockchain space is quite trendy. There are a lot of startups in that space. Yeah, from 2022, 2023, I guess even this year it's probably going to be AI.
it will be AI. So what is your prediction on the next big piece of technology?
You know, the problem I have, and sometimes engineers also do this, is a problem with the way college is structured. Civil engineering is different, computer science engineering is different. Every field is different. That's what people say. I don't see too much of a difference. This is my personal opinion because I started with games. Games and let's say AI, there's so many similarities. Sure, there are differences. There's also lots of similarities, right? A game dev is very capable of building AI models, for example. I don't see to actually build on the blockchain. It's not like a decent engineer will be able to pick up Solidity in weeks, right? So from a building perspective, to me, it's all the same. Now it depends on your interest area, right? And I feel like AI is one of those things where, like I showed you, it disrupts things in a very weird way. It just changes industries. So you still have to choose an industry. Even in blockchain, you still have to choose an industry, right? There's blockchain for real estate. By the way, which with blockchain it's very hard to tell which is fake, which is real, right? It's the same with AI. Like I can come and tell you I'm using AI in real estate. How much of it is bullshit? That only when you spend enough time with AI, you'll know is this nonsense or not, right? And VCs have a process called due diligence where they're going through everything that the founder has said and they're like, is the technology really real? Right? Is this really possible? Because remember, in the early stages, you don't know if it's possible. You're thinking, you're trying your best. And you're hopeful, and everyone's hoping that in 5 years it becomes something meaningful. But the technology risk, we don't know if it'll work or not. So what I'm trying to say is, even 3D, you can use 3D in automobiles, you can use 3D to make games. Right? You can use 3D to make automobile experiences, for example. You can use 3D to make environments for movies. So they're all different fields, no? They're all different careers. They're all different industries. So I feel don't get too obsessed with the technology. Just choose a field instead. What field are you excited about?
I was in blockchain. I'm excited.
No, but blockchain is not a field. This is the wrong way to look at it, right? Blockchain, AI, they are technologies. Choose a field. Like we do AI in content. Content is the field. AI is the tool. And I'll tell you one thing, I have no need to tell 99% of the people that talk to me that, at least on the business side, that we are using AI behind this. I'm just like, we're doing an anime. We have a way to do an anime. I don't need to explain the AI part. Same with blockchain. Most of the most successful blockchain companies don't even need to tell the world that they're a blockchain company. It's like, ye ho raha hai backend mein. So choose a field. Anyone else?
So I'm Anish, I'm from Bangalore, and I'm currently building something. So I'm Anish, and I'm from Bangalore, and I'm currently building something in the field of robotics. So what I wanted to know is, recently L&T published a report saying that they're struggling to fill 30,000 jobs in the positions of carpenters, electricians, and plumbers. So where do you see robots that can do specific tasks like carpentry or plumbing in the future?
I just want to say I'm a hardware noob, right? So this is out of my depth and expertise. I don't do this on a daily basis. So these are forward-looking statements. It's very important. I wish more people did this because it at least gives the audience what to expect, right? So these are I'm not sure about this. But I think in 2-3 years, we will have some level of bots doing simple stuff. But I think more than anything, what I can see right now is let's say you want to fix a tap. Today you would call Urban Clap or whatever. But I think if you wear the Meta glasses, and the Meta glasses, or let's say the Vision Pro, better example, and it tells you this is how you fix the tap. It's got an AI looking at it, vision model, right? So it's got an AI is looking at the tap and saying this is how you fix the tap. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Also, we filled your Amazon cart with these 5 things that you need to do. That itself changes the world a little bit because people become more self-sufficient, less, they have to rely on other people less. Same with assembling computers, right? I don't spend on assembling computers because I assemble computers by myself. But I know a lot of people in my team who will go to a store and be like, computer assemble karo. Because parts you can buy from Amazon and you can put it together yourself. I enjoy the process of building a PC. But I know if you don't know how to build a PC, it is actually pretty simple. And if there's an AI looking at it, it can tell you this fits here, right? And the Vision Pro can show you where it exactly fits. So for me, that is what I see first, and at least in plumbing and carpentry and stuff like that. Now, with robotics being able to solve that, it's at least a few years away. And there's like so many things, right? Regulation, safety, proof that it works. The initial versions will be like very expensive. Everything in the real world takes a lot longer. It always takes like decades to play out. Everything in the digital world happens fast. So the gap is only widening, no? The digital world is going faster and faster and faster. The offline world is still taking its time. So yeah, I think maybe half a decade, till we see some decent progress in India. Awesome. Next.
Hi Varun, I'm Bhargav. So you also told that humans are here to stay, or there's a lot of job that humans do. But recently you also put out an Insta story telling that cars created as many jobs for horses as AI will create for humans. Can you shed a bit more light on that?
Yeah. So, and this is something I really want to mention has nuance in it, which is, dude, if you're top 5-10% of humans, you will always have a job. You will always have something to do, because what is a job? A job is someone paying you money for something. Somebody wants something done. They're coming to you. They're saying, do this for me. See, having a salary is like a very disconnected way to make money, right? Especially the farther you are from revenue. Because a sales rep, even today, some of their money they make from incentive. They have to talk to the customer, they have to close it, and they understand very well why the customer is paying you. The customer wants something. You're providing that as a service. What I'm trying to say is, if you're in the top 5-10%, the customers will still come to you because there's something you have that other people don't. And you might be using a bunch of AI tools to scale yourself. But the problem with that, with somebody like me saying I can take on 50 projects instead of 2 projects, because if I was a freelancer now, I'd be taking on lots of projects. Because I can. The tools are there. And the arbitrage is high, no? Like I said, 15 million people, 20 million people who know about Midjourney. So the other people are still designing images the old way, hiring somebody and saying, "Ye image banao." So I would take up far more projects, which leaves less for other people. It is, as much as people think it's not zero sum, it is zero sum, right? Like this is the feedback I wanted to give some of the people in the dropshipping challenge yesterday, right? Which is somebody's making a moisturizer brand. I was like, do you have any idea how many moisturizer brands there are on Amazon? And as much as you think that, oh, they've increased the market for me, they've not. It's like now you have to compete with 50 other moisturizer brands. And that's tough. You're going to get no sales. So the first guy is able to absorb far more of consumer demand. So that's what's happening with AI. That saying is true. The person with AI will take your job. AI won't take your job. The person using AI will take your job because somebody still has to sell, right? So the guy who's doing last mile delivery, selling, taking client projects himself can now scale to 10x. And let's say a subpar writer or contractor is no longer going to get projects because projects gravitate towards people who have the expertise, the brand, and the bandwidth, which are all three are increasing with internet and AI. So it's more that. So no, you will not, if you're in the top 5-10%, you will not lose your job. And yes, you have to try to get in the top 5-10%. You know, that's always been true. That has always been true. The people who are not in the top few percentage of any field have anyway historically not done that well. And it's not hard to get in the top 5-10%. If you know about AI, we've done the math, right, of 8 billion people. If you know about AI, you're already there. Because you don't understand what 5% of 8 billion is. What is the number? What is 5% of 8 billion?
About 400 million.
400 million? ChatGPT has 200 million users. So you're still safe, you're still fine. You're already in the top 5% of your field if you're able to use these tools. So I want you to understand that the population of the world is very, very large. Especially in India, it's huge. It's huge. And the fact that you're sitting here means you already have some amount of money, at least through your parents. You have some advantages and resources that are anyway putting you beyond so many more people in India. Right? India is a tough place, man. Most people forget about ChatGPT. They don't have water. They don't have food. So you remember when you talk about top 5%, you're also competing with them. You'll be fine. Don't stress about it. And just don't get too married to a career. Because one thing that will happen is there'll be some shuffling of careers. And what is commercially viable? And you'll shift. You can't expect this is a problem software engineers keep tagging and irritating me sometimes, right? And I wish I could tell them this. I wish you understood the nuance in what I'm saying. If you're in the top 10%, nothing's going to happen to you. Nothing. It's not going to affect you. Because you'll shift to a more lucrative software engineering job. You can move to games. You can move to cryptography. You can build an OS tomorrow if necessary, right? There are so many opportunities there. Harder problems or different problems. Why are you married to being the next front-end developer? Everyone wants to be a front-end developer. Yeah, sure, it's cool. People have made it cool. There's lots of YouTube content on it. But by the time it's become that cool, it's already oversaturated, no? So, supply-demand rules apply everywhere. So why? You have a very useful skill. Why go to the one place where there's a queue? Look, people do this, right? They go to a bank and there's a queue. They're let's say 5 lines. And there's a queue. You will not go to the line with the queue. You will step to the next line where there's 2 people. But here, this is the one place where everyone's like, okay, queue is very long, but I'll stand in the queue. It's the same thing I see with all the competitive exams, right? And till today, I don't understand it. But I feel that's because of limited exposure and knowledge of what are the careers that are available. And one of the things I hope to do is, there are lots of alternative careers where people are doing really well. This is an argument I keep having with UI UX designers, right? You all want to be UI UX designers and you're all learning this useful skill, but you all want to go work for cred. You all want to work for the same bloody purple crypto website. You all want to make the same purple crypto website. But go to real estate. The real estate guys, all the large real estate brands are making insane amount of money and insanely profitable. And many of them public companies. They really need help with design because if they sell a property, they make maybe 1 crore on it. The margins are insane, right? Because they bought that land so many years ago. Sometimes they're just selling land and it's about making the land look cool. Go design brochures for them. Go design websites for them. There's so much money to be made there. But no, I want to go work at cred. Why? It's cool. I've seen memes about it on Twitter. So, the groupthink and consensus in India is very, very high. And one thing I've noticed is every time I try to break groupthink and consensus, I get attacked. I'm like, do you not see that you are the mistake? Right? Do you not see that groupthink is the problem? There are opportunities, just disperse a little bit. And all of you can make insane amount of money in these different spaces. But if all of you stack up in front of cred's doors, then some of you are going to get opportunities, some of you are not. It becomes like a rationing system, right? Comes like a competitive exam all over again. And this fascination with entering a queue or a line where there are lots of people I don't understand it in India. I don't get it. There are lots of careers. And sometimes it's about talking to other people and be like, okay, where is the extra money being made? Right? And moving there. Think of your career in terms of projects rather than one static career and your life will be so much better. You will have much less anxiety. You have anxiety because you're married to whatever you studied and you're like, this is the thing I'm going to do.
Hey Varun, I think sitting in this session today was my unfair advantage. And apart from that, on your note of outcomes, I've come to believe that outcomes, as how you put it, is more of a service. And I've stuck by the nuance that at least building products is where the scale is, and service is something you shouldn't get into and in type of an agency would.
Okay, I will break that down for you, right? I'm not the biggest fan of agencies. Right. I really hate the idea of agencies because it's a people problem. Okay? Or at least in my head, I think it's a people problem. But let me tell you some learnings that I've had, right? What are the largest software companies in India? Associated with software. Software is scalable? Tell me. TCS, Wipro, Infosys. Come on, more. HCL. By market cap also, they're pretty large. They do software. How many of them have successful products? How much of it is services? How much of it is product?
All of them.
It's almost all services, right? So you're telling me that after all this drum beating about software, there's still services companies. The biggest software companies in India are services companies. Now let's look at the actual SaaS companies. There's some in India, right? Like for example, Tally is doing well, a bunch of others. But double click on their businesses and you'll realize a lot of it is services. They're cleverly disguised services. The product is a good first foot in the door, but people really want stuff done in India, and they don't mind spending some extra money. When we were running scenes, right, a lot of people came to us and said, instead of just giving us community software, run my community. Very hard to do, by the way, run somebody else's community. Very hard to train for. It's very random, you need distribution. It's pretty hard. But that's what people really wanted. If I had successfully run communities for other people and done that at scale, we would have probably made a lot more money. Because that's what people wanted. So, and even Zoho, right? Like we look at software as a service, SaaS successes in India, and we say, look at Zoho, this, that. Dude, most of Zoho's business comes from outside of India. Sridhar Vembu has been outside of India for so long, no? Decades. So, you need to cut through the noise to find out exactly where is the dollar coming from. Exactly who is paying. That's my job, right? Exactly where is the money coming from. And one thing I'm realizing is this pure, I will pay $100 a month is not as valuable as people thought it was. Like what is, Zomato today can run even if people pick up the phone and dial a central service and the service says, sir, what do you want to order? And it says, I say paneer butter masala, and they say, okay, here are the 3 restaurants, and I pick one. It still work. But the app allows them to scale faster. It's a distribution mechanism where you don't need to do the call, therefore you can onboard more users. It's a place to send all your users at once. But what their real moat is the logistics network. Can we agree? Because many people can build food apps, and there were many food apps. But the ones with the largest networks, the ones with the largest competitive advantages won. So, I'm a believer, at least in India, and this is very nuanced to India, because in the US, people value their time. So they buy software. At least in India, we don't value our time enough. Businesses don't value time enough, and they will always choose to hire a person. And dude, I've seen it in my own behavior. We will always choose the cheapest plan of a CRM. It'll always be like, I'd rather hire a person to do this than... It's like, it's cheap. It's actually cheaper, right? And so I have found when double-clicking that it's good in theory if you have a product that scales like crazy. But if you have a product, there's also competition, and competition does price cutting, and people really want outcomes. The customers really want outcomes. They will eventually gravitate from that product to somebody who says, I will do the entire outcome for you. So you'll anyway lose your contract to the outcome. But see, this requires a different mindset. The VC mindset in India is you need a product, or the VC mindset in general is you need a product, and that's where the scale is going to come from. That's how you're going to get big. But I'll tell you one thing, VCs have changed their mind, at least in India, have changed their mind on this. Because they have not seen successes, no? Once you start seeing successes, you're like, shit, success is still in the services. So, how I've changed as a human being about this is, we will use products internally. We will sell it as a service. And we will hire really good talent. And maybe I'm not the best at like managing client expectations and all that. We'll hire for it. And I'm learning so much about organization design. In fact, this year for me, it's less about AI, right? Because last year we did a lot of that. This year is like, how do I build an org that outlasts me? And I'm learning so much about building an organization. I can talk for 2 hours about how to build an organization. All the things that I've learned, right? In fact, I think the organization is a lot like the human body. You need to have an immune system, for example, right? And when you start competing with other people, you sort of like get into a fever. You start consuming more glucose, more oxygen. Like there's lots of things that goes on running an org. So it's more about that. And if I can do that right, then you can scale anything. No? Then you can scale services. You can scale all of it. And I don't want to build a VC scale business. First get to a few crores in revenue, then think about how do I build 1,000 crore revenue business. Awesome. Yeah.
Sir. Hello, Varun.
Oh, hi.
My name is Athar, and after listening from the very starting, I just had one question that I would ask you in my mind. But when you started speaking, I just wanted to ask you a question collectively from our batch. See, we as a batch, we are making a lot of startups, right? But when it starts, it gets a bit tough, right? And many of us just give up at the end. When I saw you right now, it's like, what keeps you going? Is it your just sheer curiosity? Because I follow every bit of your content. Whenever I see you speak, there is always like a bit of curiosity in there. So what are some things that help you drive yourself to achieve everything? Because your portfolio is so diverse. And what are some work ethics that we can take from your career to get success in our entrepreneurial journeys?
This is a personal answer, right? I think once you get into the top, like the top echelon, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, but once you get in the top strata of what you're doing and you're known for it, you don't want to fall from grace. Like, you don't want people to think, oh, he's an has-been. You don't want to be a caution story, right? And also, it's like, we're good at this. So it's very easy for me to slip and give the throne to somebody else, right? I'm not saying we have a throne or anything. I'm just saying, like, you're good at something, might as well do it. See, there's a very interesting story about enlightenment. I told it to some people yesterday, I'll tell it to you again. I keep telling the story in my team, okay? I'm the most experimental person you'll meet. I'll keep trying stuff back to back to back, lots of failures in life, simply because I love radically experimenting. Last 8 months, I've found a new strategy, which is I will experiment, but I will partner with excellent CEOs who understand the value of PMF. Because I don't care about PMF as much. Because I found PMF on multiple things in the last 6 months alone, right? I'm pretty sure I'll find PMF again on some new thing, right? Because I'm trying to look for the truth seeking, the insight in everything. And when you're like that, and I'm not thinking from a place of ego, I just really want it to work, then you find PMF, right? So I've found that I'm not the best at sustaining one thing, but I keep telling this story to my team. There's a lumberjack, and I'm butchering the story, but I'll tell you anyway. There was a lumberjack, and he was very good at cutting trees. And what he used to do on a daily basis was he used to cut trees, he used to chop wood, and then he used to carry water. He used to carry water from one place from the well to his house or whatever. And then one day he said, I'm going to be a monk. Okay? And he gave up everything. He decides to start meditating. Then he becomes enlightened. He reaches nirvana. He's like, now I know everything about the world. I know everything. And then people asked him, now that you know everything, now that you're enlightened, what are you going to do on a daily basis? He says, I'm going to chop wood, carry water. And that's what I've learned, right? There is nothing. Once you start making money, there is nothing beyond this. There is nothing. There is no reason for me to make 1 more rupee. I'll be happy. I'll have to live within my means, but I'll be happy. But then what do you do? What do you do? There is nothing to do. So we chop wood and carry water. Right? And I've been thinking a lot about this, right? Do I want to build a legacy? What do I leave this for? Why should I make the next rupee? And these are struggles where, to be very honest, I have not figured it out. But I don't think there's any human who has. And there's some stretch thoughts, right? Okay, what if I can be immortal and all that? But the technology is not there yet. So I think I like what I do because it's the only thing I know, and therefore I keep doing it. When I was very young, I had distractions. When I was 20, 21, I was young, right? It's like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Today, we don't have distractions. I've tried everything. Cool thing is, in 10 years, I've tried everything that I love, and I still keep trying new shit. If I loved it, I've tried it. But then you learn that not everything works, and the things that work require chopping wood, carrying water. So that's why I chop wood, carry water. That's why, even though I've made 1,000 videos, I'll make the 1,000th first.
But in one of your podcasts with Nitin Kamath, you said that you don't really like coming in front of the camera, and
yes,
that's why you're behind the scene. I think you want to automate everything.
Yeah. Do you think chopping wood, carrying water is fun after you chopped wood, carried water for years and decades?
No, it's not.
It's not fun. I don't see it as fun. And that's me learning and evolving, right? It's not fun, therefore I will use technology to try to make it as fun as I possibly can. But the day I decide it's not fun and I retire, there will be somebody else who does what I do. And they will go through the same conundrum.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Madhav from the BCP batch. So I wanted to ask, you talked about creating organizations, like truly big organizations. So as a first-time founder who's worked in his family business, comes from a very supportive background, doesn't have the freedom as such. So I really struggle in managing teams, but I have the idea, I know I can do it, but how to build that on a truly scalable level, like how I can, so what is your point of view? I just wanted to know some few tips.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
it's very hard for somebody who's like 24, 25 to manage a large org. How big is the org?
My org?
Yeah.
It's like 70, 80.
It's hard, no, because it's a respect thing. Henry Ford, he was known for his genius of building the car. But he was a bad manager. When people made alternative cars or whatever, new models, he tore them down. And he passed that down along his family. So 2 generations later, the next Ford, he was also like horrible towards his managers because he was not getting respect from them. Because they were like, "Bachcha hai, isko kuch nahi aata hai." So he tore all of them down. And I think step one, at least with family businesses, if you're the son of a leader, right? Like sometimes I think about this. I have a team and suppose I had a kid. I don't have a kid, but suppose I have a kid someday. Is my team going to feel threatened by that person? Because the team would have worked there for 10 years and this kid has just walked into something that works. How does that play out? Whose ego gets damaged? Do they understand that the kid is on a pedestal? Why? We're a meritocracy. Everything that everyone's accomplished here has been accomplished because they put in the effort and the time and the energy. Why is my kid special? So it's earning respect. And I feel like that takes till you are 30, 40. It's one of those things that you can't easily codify, right? Like respect for your team is important in me increasing top line, but yeah. Soft skills. So how do you gain the respect of your team?
So my method would be like showing up at office.
It's not enough.
Working, like showing,
That's not enough. You need wins. You need to do something radical and it needs to work. You need to be misunderstood. That Sam Altman thing, right? You need to be willing to be misunderstood in the short term and then something works later. You need that. Which can also blow up in your face. You do something stupid and it doesn't work out, then they think this guy's an idiot. But that's the thing, no, even with tribes you had this. When you reach 18 years old in a tribe, you'd go out and you'd have to bring a lion's head back to prove that you know prove that you're good. You're capable of leading the crowd. Very tough. Very tough. And that's why family businesses ruin themselves after 2-3 generations. It's mostly because of these soft side things versus the hard side. Because strong people usually create the next generation of really weak people. Because you've not gone out and like hunted yourself and come back. You've always been hunted for. Someone's always given you food on the table. And the problem with that is not somebody's giving you food on the table. The problem is the team has seen that you have been given food on the table for X number of years. And the team is like, मैं hunt करता हूँ. इसको मिला है. And I've seen that at least in families eat, people up. I don't have a solution. I've never faced this problem. But this is just what I've seen from the side looking at some family businesses. We'll take the last two questions, yeah.
My name is Rayan. I'm also part of the YouTube batch. You are into building games and you also want to build games in the future, right? Have you seen the movie Ready Player One?
Yeah.
So, the two things like VR glass, which you can see through ultimately, and omnidirectional treadmill. Disney has built that omnidirectional treadmill or tiles, I would say. And
They're not good.
I mean,
it's got inertia. It's got inertia problems. But yeah, at some point it'll be solved. Yeah.
Yeah, and Vision Pro is technically also almost there to solve the same thing. And since you want to incorporate AI, and yesterday at my stall you told me about building a lore, and that's what I think you're doing right now, and reap the benefits later on. So, how do you what's the idea of incorporating AI and let's say building a game like Ready Player One in future with your brand?
Yeah, I'd love to. I really like this game called Rust, which is like a survival game, right? So I love Rust. I think there should be a Rust in VR. But I'll tell you why we haven't built it yet. We've built a card game and stuff, right? Not enough people in India have VR headsets. Our distribution is very India focused. So if I build a game, like a VR game and not a mobile game, it doesn't take advantage of our distribution, which means I'm starting from scratch. because I have to build US distribution for the user base. How much of Rust revenue comes from India? Very little. Right? How much of World of Warcraft's revenue comes from India? Very little. So first, let me really take advantage of the India distribution. Right? Let me build things for India. Let me solve that. And then I will take many of these riskier bets. We built a game. It's called Overpowered the Card Game. Last year we built. I'm in the game. You can play me as a card. Right? So is all the cool people in our company. You can play them as cards. But we want to build for mobile. Because it's like, people don't even have desktops in India.
I mean, like building a game like Ready Player One, it would be like a breakthrough in the game industry. But why not just target the local markets and just?
I don't have the distribution, no? It's a much more expensive business when I don't have distribution. Yeah. Yeah, let's do some different side of the audience. Sure.
Thank you, Varun, for the session. Actually, this is a personal problem that I've faced because there are like hundreds of tools of AI out there, and every tool there is a learning curve. And if you are learning a tool right now, there might be some other tools that might come up which is better than a tool in the same industry. How do you actually discover as well as learn that tool and actually start applying in your business?
Follow @theVarunMaya on Instagram and overpower.ai because this is my job. Right? Like it's kind of like this is exactly what I keep doing. Like I'll give you an example. The way it's moving. IP adapter face was great for thumbnails. Then we switched to Instant ID, which is like we took a week to switch, and we were like, okay, this is better. And we tried Photo Maker also in between, which wasn't great. Everything is hyped, and my job is to sort of figure out of the hype which is the right, which is useful. And everyone knows we do content. So if I find it useful, like all my thumbnails on my last few videos are all AI. So we're using Instant ID now, but for the Rabbit R1 video, we used IP adapter face. We knew that this is going to get flooded with tools. We knew it's going to get flooded with open source, paid, etc., etc. Right? And that's exactly why we created the channels. We like demystify it. We knew there's going to be infinite content buckets here. So just stay up to date, like hit the post notifications button or whatever. I'm serious. We do this because we think it's. How much money do I charge you to watch my? I saw this on Reddit. Okay, somebody was making some AI course or something, and somebody in the comment, I really love that comment. They're like, you don't need all this. Just follow Varun Maya for free on Instagram. I've learned more from his shorts. Seriously, I have shorts and reels, right? Seriously, I mean, I just want to demystify it for free. Like, no agenda.
So with this, you prefer
Distribution, yes.
So with this, you prefer to go with monthly plans for any AI model you purchase. Because anything can change.
I'm a believer that once you have a GPU, it's all free. If you're smart enough. Once you have a GPU, it's all free. Like a good GPU is like maybe $1 lakh today, but that's it. You now have to pay for another subscription again. Just electricity, which is cheap. A GPU is a graphic card. With Comfy UI, every tool will be available.
Cool guys, can we have a round of applause?
Thank you so much. I hope this was valuable.